So what I've done is I've taken the 18 excuses, and I'd like to summarize that and give you affirmations that are in harmony with this new excuses be gone paradigm. So if you take the first one, it will be difficult, that's an excuse. An affirmation that counteracts that is, I have the ability to accomplish any task I set my mind to do with ease and comfort. Why not? Why not affirm that, even if it may or may not be true? But if you affirm it, then at least it will lead you to where you want to be. It's going to be risky, becomes being myself involves no risks. It's my ultimate truth, and I live fearlessly. How many times have I heard you say that, Louise? I live fearlessly. It will take a long time as an excuse, becomes I have infinite patience when it comes to fulfilling my own destiny. I have infinite patience. There will be family drama, becomes I'd rather be loathed for who I am than loved for who I am not. I don't deserve it, becomes I am a divine creation, a piece of God. How can I be undeserving? Why would God ever create something that doesn't deserve everything? It's not my nature, becomes my essential nature is perfect and faultless. It is to this nature that I return. I can't afford it, becomes I am connected to an unlimited source of abundance. No one will help me, becomes the right circumstances and the right people are already here and will show up on time. And you affirm that over and over. It's never happened before, becomes I am open and willing to attract all I desire, being here and now. I'm not strong enough, becomes I have access to unlimited assistance. My strength comes from my connection to my source. I'm not smart enough, becomes I am a creation of the divine mind. All is perfect, and I am a genius in my own right. I'm too old, or I'm not old enough, becomes I am an infinite being. The age of my body has no bearing on what I do or who I am. The rules won't let me, becomes I live my life according to divine rules. It's too big, becomes I think only about what I can do now. By thinking small, I accomplish great things. I don't have the energy, becomes I feel passionately about my life, and this passion fills me with excitement and energy. It's my personal family history, becomes I live in the present moment by being grateful for all of my life experiences as a child. All of them. I'm too busy, becomes as I unclutter my life, I free myself to answer the callings of my soul. And finally, I'm too scared, becomes I can accomplish anything I put my mind to because I know I'm never alone. I'm never alone. You write these down. You place them in strategic places around your house. You put them on the refrigerator. You put them on the dashboard of your car. You affirm them. Much research now is being done on the power of being able to just say the affirmation. Then I recommend you go to the feeling that accompanies that and go off to sleep with it and watch. Do it for a few weeks, night after night after night, and you will set into motion all the synchronistic events and people and circumstances that you need to fulfill your destiny.
Make no mistake about it that every emotion you experience in your life is a choice. Not that they're bad. Emotions are wonderful. But if any emotion you experience in your life is immobilizing, keeping you from being where you want to be, keeping you from your purpose, from your mission, from your joy in life. And don't forget that the major purpose of life is to enjoy it. Look, if you learn how to enjoy your life, every moment you have, even the rotten ones, if you can do that, do you understand that you can never be a burden to anyone else? Isn't that the least selfish thing you can do? Isn't that the most glorious and graceful and loving thing you can do, is never be anybody else's burden? That's not selfish to know how to enjoy your life. It's selfless. It's not putting other people down at your expense or anybody else's expense or elevating yourself up to make others look. It's nothing like that. There is only one morality in the universe. Every human being has a right to live their life as they choose to live it, as long as they don't interfere with anyone else's right to do the same. See, you can image anything for yourself. You can visualize for yourself. You can never visualize for other people to be different than they are. You don't have that kind of capacity, all right? Each person's karma is their own. Each person's life is their own to live. You cannot say, I'm going to image you doing this for me, and if you don't, then I'm going to be happy. What you can say is, I am going to have an image of myself not being upset when you don't do the things that I want you to do, that I would like it better if you did. When you get that image inside of you, then if they do it, that's terrific. And if they don't, you don't look at that as not terrific. You look at that as where they are right now. And Robert Frost had a wonderful definition of love. He said that we love the things we love for what they are. And that same thing goes for people, for what they are, not for what I would like them to be. And we don't alter or want to alter the things we love. You love it for what it is, rather than what it can do for you. Same with your children. I have spent the last 10 months of my life almost exclusively in working on a book that will be out in the fall called What Do You Really Want for Your Children? And it's about applying the principles of all of my books to the raising of children. And I think about what is important. What is it that we want for our children? One of the things that I want for my children, for all the children of our world, which I think of them all as mine, I think we're all one, we're all in this thing together, is for them to grow up believing that they have a choice. You know, I have 5 children, and it's rare to see my children fight. They haven't been grown up on fighting. They have never had fighting reinforced as something that is only normal and kids only fight. They've always had a kind of a belief system that it's not normal to fight and be angry and to hate each other, and that those impulses are things that we can learn to tame and not have, because fighting and anguish and pain and despair are things that bring us down and kind of destroy our lives. My children have grown up with the different attitudes about almost everything. But one of the things they are is full of love. When my daughter was in the 2nd grade, she came home and she said, "Billy doesn't like me. Billy doesn't like me." She was all upset about that. I said, "I understand that. This is Billy's day. It's one of the things Billy does on Tuesdays. Do you like you?" "Oh yeah, of course I like me." I said, "Well, that's all you've got." She'd go away, and she was used to her daddy talking to her weird like this. So many other daddies and mommies in the neighborhood say, "Oh my goodness, what can we do to get Billy to like you? Let's see, maybe we'll give him some money." You know, maybe we'll let him play with your sandbox, or maybe we'll do whatever we can. You see, even at 2, a child doesn't have to learn that Billy's behavior toward her ought to be anything that brings her down. Do you understand that every moment in your life that you spend upset, despaired, anguished, angry, hurt because of the behavior of anybody else in your life is a moment in which you have given up control of your life? Is a moment in which you have said to the people in your world, what you think of me is more important than what I think of myself. And so I will do whatever I have to do to get you to like me. Instead of, I will fill myself with love, and I will send that out into the world. And those that accept it, that's wonderful. And those that don't, that just happens to be where they are now. There is a karma to this planet that I'm only beginning to understand. But one thing I know is that when I put responsibility on me for my suffering, for my pain, for my difficulty, and when I send out love as my reaction to anybody else's anguish, that I get it back.
Have you ever wanted to change some facet of your personality, but another part of you insisted that this is impossible because your genetic program is responsible for how you think, feel, and behave? That latter part of you believes in biologically determined unhappy genes, or shy genes, or fat genes, and bad luck genes, among many others. Due to your luck of the draw, it will tell you you have a set of misery genes, along with a sizable cachet of weight-gaining genes, if those are the aspects you want to change. This part means to be helpful, but while it probably wants to protect you from the disappointment of failure, it keeps you stuck in an excuse-driven life. Using the excuse of genetic programming not to do anything about the personal characteristics that you dislike is popular and clearly acceptable in today's culture. So with the aforementioned genetic predisposition as an excuse, living in a constant or unnecessary terror might be excused as an overabundance of fear cells emanating from microscopic strands of DNA attached to your biological originating cellular structure, and you're stuck with it. Thus, a formidable excuse is formulated. No wonder a part of you gets indignant when you attempt to be brave, since it believes, I can't change my biology. A sense of powerlessness ensues when it comes to altering anything about yourself that has become so established that it feels like who you really are. This is particularly true when you observe traits and characteristics that have been with you for as long as you can recall. As if to further cement the idea that you've always been this way into your total worldview, the limiting part of you asserts, there's nothing that can be done about it. After all, I can't change my basic biology. Excuse me. Thanks to the principles I share in this program, you most certainly can. The belief that we cannot change our biology is beginning to be challenged by scientific scholars engaged in cell biology research. It seems that humans do have the ability to change and even reverse some of their genetic blueprints. Openness and curiosity, along with a desire to be free from excuses, are the basic prerequisites for learning about the exciting evidence concerning genetic predisposition. One of the pioneers of the new way of understanding DNA, Bruce Lipton, Ph.D., is a cell biologist who taught medical students before resigning to do research and lecture full-time. In a groundbreaking book called The Biology of Belief, Lipton writes that life is not controlled by genes. In fact, his research led him to the conclusion that they're strictly blueprints. The invisible, formless energy that constitutes the gene's environment is the architect that turns the blueprint into this mystery we call life. Even more astonishing is Lipton's understanding that our personal belief systems, including our perceptions, have the capacity to trump our genetic inheritance and our cellular DNA. It's possible to influence the infinitesimally tiny particles we've come to believe are the ultimate determiners of our lives. That is, when we change the way we think and learn new ways of perceiving, we can actually change our DNA. In other words, you can impact and alter your genetic structure by modifying how you see yourself and your place in this glorious mystery called life. Your perceptions have the power to change your genetic makeup. Your beliefs can and do control your biology. Now, this may sound radical or even impossible, yet it is this awareness that will lead you to say goodbye to the excuses you've unwittingly adopted. Your beliefs carry far more weight than you realized in determining what you can do, what you'll undertake, and how far you're capable of going.
Treasuring our divinity instead of being terrified of it. Knowing that I am always connected to my source. There is no way that I cannot, because it is in you, and I am in you, and you are in me, and you can never be separated from it. There is no place that this source is not. It grows everybody's fingernails. It beats everybody's hearts. It digests everybody's foods. It opens all the flowers. And you're always connected to it.
The essence of putting these profound teachings to work in your life. Number one, be willing to change your concept of yourself, which means changing what you have believed to be true. 2, recognize yourself as always connected to your source of being. 3, become willing to say,
I am God from an egoless perspective. 4. Treasure your greatest gift, your imagination. 5. Live as if what you desire is already here. 6. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. 7. Never let your attention be directed by anything or anyone other than your own highest self. 8. Use the last moments of your day before sleeping to reinforce in your mind your desires as fulfilled. 9. Have a mind that is open to all possibilities. And 10. Remember always, from the words of Rumi, quote, you were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. Unquote.
The first of these 4 cardinal virtues is called reverence for all of life. Lao Tzu encouraged his devotees to have reverence not just for your family and the people close to you, but all of life. To have reverence for every human being, to see in every person not a judgment about what they are or what they aren't, what they should be or what they shouldn't be, but to see the unfolding of the Tao or the unfolding of God in that person and revere that. Not only do you revere that in all of the people that you meet in your life, but you revere it in every bit of life that you see. In all of the animals, you have reverence for all of them. In all of the plants, the planet, you have reverence for all that is alive, and you treat it with great respect. So that's the first of what he called the cardinal virtues. And if you practice this, magical things begin to happen in your life. The second of these cardinal virtues is what he called natural sincerity, which manifests as honesty. Not the kind of honesty that says, I don't steal, but the kind of honesty that manifests as, I am authentic. I walk my talk. What I say, I am. I don't lie. Not only do I not lie, but I present myself as a divine piece of the Tao, of God, of the source, of divine mind. I present myself this way. And I'm not, it's like you can't call yourself a kind person if you're not kind to the lady who cleans your toilet in the hotel room. If you're not kind to the person who drives you from one place to the other. If you're not kind to the person who trims the trees or empties your garbage. It isn't just being kind to the people in your family and to your children. It's about that kind of natural sincerity, and you don't waver from that. The third of these cardinal virtues he called gentleness. And gentleness manifests as kindness, but it manifests more than just kindness. It manifests as a non-interfering way of being. That so many people that I know and have worked with and treated over the years go about their life looking for occasions to be offended, looking for reasons to be upset. And if you live from that perspective, if that's where you are and what you're coming from, you'll never find any shortage of those kinds of things. So you'll find someone whose hairdo you don't like. You'll find someone who dresses in a certain way. You'll find someone who speaks in a way that you don't understand. You'll find people who have different cultural values or different religious values than you, or who do any number of things that are not the way you are. And I suggest that gentleness really means just a way of respecting all of life. And the fourth of these 4 cardinal virtues is the virtue of service, of reaching out to other people, not just as something that you do once in a while, but as a way of being. That whatever it is that you wish for the other people in your life that you don't get along with, whatever it is that you wish for yourself, want it more for someone else than you want it for yourself. That's service. So if you have a family relative, an in-law, whatever it might be, anyone, an aunt that bothers you, and you know they're coming over for a family dinner, instead of saying, oh, here she comes again, and she's going to make this, and once again, Thanksgiving is going to be all screwed up because Aunt Lucy, it's like, instead, ask yourself, what do I want? I just want to be at peace around Aunt Lucy. And then want the peace that you want for yourself more for Aunt Lucy than you want it for yourself. You connect your energy with the divine realm and you practice higher awareness through the practice of these virtues. And then he says, the mystical techniques for achieving immortality are revealed only to those who have dissolved all ties to the gross worldly realm of duality, conflict, and dogma. You have to dissolve your ties to this physical world. Recognize that who you are is not a human being having a spiritual experience. You've heard it said 1,000 times. Who you are is an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And you begin to identify yourself by living these virtues and by practicing higher awareness, the teachings of the secret. I took it to a different place, which is you will never attract what you want. You attract what you are. Become this. The teachers will find you and the doors will open.
The thought process, the inner world, is the first step. And because the ancestor to every action is a thought. As you're using your mind in new ways, you're creating a whole new universe within, and that whole new universe within is just a precursor to the universe of your physical world. You have to think of your thoughts and your inner world and your capacity to be able to attract things into your life. You have to think of these things as like currency. The currency that you have for bringing into your life what you want is the way that you think. And if you use the currency that you have for bringing into your life what you would like to spend it on what you don't like, don't be surprised if what you don't like keeps showing up. And the people who are not good at manifesting, who will tell you, this is just a lot of nonsense. You can't do this. You can't just think something and then have it work out for you. And they keep wondering why it not working out for you keeps showing up for them in their life. And they will constantly tell you about all the reasons why it can't work, and you never stop to say, but this is how you think all the time. Here's a good way of thinking about it. In the material world, the currency that we have for attracting what we want in our life is called money. Whereas in the metaphysical world, the currency that we have for attracting what we want is called thoughts.
Almost everybody makes this huge mistake. They review all of the things that they don't like. They review all of the things that are missing. They think about all of the people who have really upset them during the day. They think about how wrong their spouse is or about how bad their children are. Now, I talked earlier about this habitual mind that we call the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind cannot make a distinction between what is literally happening to you in your life and what you are imagining in your imagination. It can't make a distinction. So now you go off to sleep at night with all of those negative thoughts swirling around, and you go into your subconscious mind. And now you got 8 hours to marinate. 8 hours to marinate on all the things that are wrong. Now your subconscious mind thinks that this is what you want, because that's what you're experiencing and that's what you feel. And your body feels lousy and you have trouble sleeping and you're full of stress. And so now you've got 8 hours in which to marinate on all the things that are wrong. Your subconscious mind, which is the vehicle for materialization and manifestation, that's where it takes place in this habitual mind of yours, is going to work on and offering you experiences that match up to what you feel. Supposing you were able to reverse that, and in the last 5 minutes of your day, you were to say, I feel great, I feel joyful, I experienced what I want, I met the person that I wanted to meet, I was able to get the job that I wanted to get, and you start saying to yourself, this is how I feel. Now you've got 8 hours, and your subconscious mind believes that that's who you are and what you want, and for the next 8 hours, it begins to align you in the mysterious way that none of us can understand, that allows for the manifestation and the materialization to take place.
It's a new way of thinking. Catch yourself in every moment that you have your attention on what you don't want. You're going through a struggle, a tough divorce. I am only going to put my attention on being happy. And every time I have an inclination to put my thoughts somewhere else, I'm going to bring my thoughts to what it is that I want, with passion, and I will attract it into my life. And you can do that with healing. You can do that with making the job promotion that you want, creating the kind of relationship that you want, and manifesting anything into your life.
You put your energy and your attention on what you do want, and then you let go. And you allow the universe to provide for you what it is that you're willing to give. And infinite patience is just another word, or another term rather, for knowing. If you have infinite patience, it means that you absolutely know that what you are attempting to manifest and attract into your life is going to show up, because you're infinitely patient. I put no time on this, no restrictions. I just know, because I have faith. I have faith. Now, what's the immediate result? The immediate result that you get from infinite patience is a sense of peace. A sense of peace. There's a wonderful line that is so paradoxical that most people are always asking me about when they read Manifest Your Destiny, which is, infinite patience produces immediate results. That's right directly out of A Course in Miracles. And the way I interpret that is that you have to detach from what it is that you want to attract into your life.
Where there is darkness, light. What is darkness? The absence of purity, the absence of morality, the absence of a higher awareness. And light, whenever it is brought to the presence of darkness, always nullifies the darkness. Light is a faster, higher energy. And whenever you are in a moment of darkness, if you're in your room at night, very often when we're in the dark, we think our most morbid, fearful, shameful, predictable thoughts that things aren't going to work out, that something bad is coming, that I'm afraid that it's going to turn in a way that I don't want it to turn. And you know what to do? Turn on the light. Just turn on the light. Like, get up and turn on a light and watch what happens. That when you bring light to the presence of darkness just in the surroundings, all of a sudden you can see that it's not going to be that way. Suddenly you're saying, or the thoughts that you had in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning when you were so worried and so fearful, and then you get up in the morning and you walk outside and you think, what the hell was I thinking? Why was I so afraid? Why was I predicting a disaster? Why was I thinking that something horrible was coming? Bring light to the presence of darkness. And in bringing light to the presence of darkness, it disappears. It's gone.
Where there is sadness, let me bring joy. Here's a story that John Marks Templeton tells in his wonderful book, Worldwide Laws of Life. He said there lived an old man who was the personification of difficulty, irritable, messy, fighting with everyone, unwilling to clean up or help in any manner. No one was able to get along with him. Finally, after many frustrating months of trying to stay with the group, the old man left for Paris. Gurdjieff followed him and tried to convince him to return. But it had been too hard, and the man said no. Finally, Gurdjieff offered the man a very big monthly stipend if he would return to the community. How could the man refuse? When the old man returned, everyone was aghast. Upon hearing that he was being paid while they were being charged a fair sum just to be there, the community was up in arms. Gurdjieff called everyone together for a meeting, and after hearing all of their complaints, he laughed and explained, "This old man is like yeast for bread. Without him here, you would never really learn about anger, irritability, patience, and compassion. That is why you pay me and why I hire him with your money." Isn't that great? So when you have sadness, frustration, all of this kind of stuff, you have to figure out a way to love it. And the way that you love it is by bringing joy to it. You have to love your sadness. You have to love and appreciate that this is something that is taking you to a better and a higher place. It's exactly what I did with about my father, and how it was the turning point in my life. How I had taken something that was sad and frustrating and angry producing and so on, how I had taken that and brought joy to it. And when you bring joy, you're bringing one of the very highest frequencies in the universe to the presence of that sadness. And sadness cannot live with joy. Do you know you can't laugh and cry at the same time? That you can't literally be sad and experience joy in the same moment. You have to take one or the other. And joy nullifies sadness. It cancels it. It trumps it, if you will. You have to send love inside and make yourself an orange that is filled with love juice. And that's what you send out. And that's what the great spiritual masters taught us. And we don't always do it. I certainly don't always do it. I do it much more than I used to because I'm better than I used to be. But I'm still not there 100% of the time. When I'm not there, I am conscious of it. And that's a start in not being there as frequently. Make every effort to bring love. And what is love? It says it right in the scriptures. God is love. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in me, and I in him.
In all of your waking hours, I encourage you to stay closely aligned to your originating source of being. Practice thinking like God, your highest self, thinks. As I pointed out in a previous book, Excuses Be Gone, when your contemplations are a vibrational match to originating spirit, you are synchronized with divine mind, attracting and fulfilling your desires. You have the same power as originating spirit, as long as you don't replace your divine nature with ego's thoughts, which are essentially the mental meanderings of your false self. While awake, use your mind to repeatedly remind yourself of your true I am that I am nature. Remember that universal one subconscious mind creates in a way known only to itself. It is the great mystery. Learn to live in that mystery, making every effort to use all of your mental and feeling powers to manifest the life you desire, all the while staying in an uncompromised state of love. Here's what Erich Fromm wrote on this subject of living the mystery. Quote,
rather than being confronted with an overwhelming proof of the limitations of our understanding, we accuse the dreams of not making sense." Unquote. You needn't be concerned with how it will all work out. All you need know is that you are always connected to your source of being, and that you and God are truly one. Just as no scientist can tell you how a caterpillar knows how to turn itself into a butterfly and then migrate thousands of miles without the benefit of a brain, you must simply accept the great mystery of life and death and stay as closely aligned with this miraculous thing that we call creative source of all being as you possibly can. You don't have to understand it all. All you need to do is remain in a state of love while reprogramming your subconscious mind to develop the habits of a God-realized being rather than an ego-dominated person. As the great Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran observed in his classic book, The Prophet, quote, "Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity," unquote. I urge you to follow the poet's advice and open up that gate and come to know a new external you in your dreams awake, and never forget your own divine magnificence. It is my intention to live in my dreams awake as much as is humanly and spiritually conceivable. I look back upon my dream state and I realize that everything that I needed from my dream I was able to create with my subconscious mind, without effort and with no need for involving my physical body at all. And so I know that manifesting the person I wish to be while awake also involves effortless perfection, and that I have my imagination, or my intentions, my attention, and my feelings to use while awake as well. My sleep time, fully embedded in my subconscious mind, is providing clues for me to put those mental activities into practice when I leave my slumber. I further look back at my dream state from a place of wakefulness, and I see that everything and everyone that was in my dream was created by me with my imagination. I keep this in mind as I gaze at who and what I have created in my awake dream. I look back from my wakeful perspective and realize that I lived in a world where time is an illusion, where nothing is unavailable to me, where cause and effect are total illusions, where all obstacles are turned into either opportunities or revealed as illusions, where there is no beginning and no end, and where my body experiences feelings even though the thoughts that resulted in those feelings are all illusions and were totally devoid of judgments by my dreaming self. And finally, I look back and realize that the only way I know for certain that I was dreaming was to awaken. I remind you here as well that you do have within you these amazing powers of manifestation, and you use them on a regular basis every night and for 1/3 of your entire life in this incarnation. I suggest that while you are awake, you view this 2/3 portions of your life as a dream as well, and realize that the only way you'll know you are dreaming is to awaken. That is, awaken to a new consciousness in which distance and time constraints can be overcome just by a change of state, an awakened state that knows and trusts in the power of your thoughts and feelings to live a wishes-fulfilled life. I am peaceful, I am content, I am love, I am the governing power of the universe, and I attract only to myself those who are in alignment with my highest ideals of myself. This is my nightly ritual, always eschewing any temptation to go over any fear of unpleasantness that my ego might be asking me to review. I assume the feeling in my body of those I am statements already fulfilled, and I enter my sleep inviting the instruction that my subconscious mind welcomes. I know that I'm allowing myself to be programmed while asleep. For the next day, I rise knowing that I am a free agent. I understand that every action and event of the day is essentially predetermined by my feelings as I prepare for sleep, and while I was in that place of warmth and trust in the arms of the one universal subconscious mind. Here's an observation from Neville regarding the importance of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Quote, "Ideas are impressed on the subconscious through the medium of feeling. No idea can be impressed on the subconscious mind until it is felt. But once felt, be it good, bad, or indifferent, it must be expressed. Feeling is the one and only medium through which ideas are conveyed to the subconscious." Unquote. Your subconscious impressions are reflected in the conditions of your world.
The strange and wonderful thing about your subconscious mind is that it always accepts as true what you feel to be true. The key words here are feel to be true. Your feelings allow your subconscious mind to spring into action. Earlier in this chapter, I described intellectual understanding as tossing ideas around in your mind and then drawing a conclusion. Spiritual understanding differs in that it requires experiencing it. The way to understand something spiritually is through experiencing it. Your feelings are the tools you have for experiencing your subconscious mind and making it your material world reality. Your feelings happen in your body, where you live and breathe. How you feel is your experience of life. These feelings flow from the thoughts you place in your imagination, and you are free to select any thought you desire. As I've reiterated throughout this book, when these thoughts are aligned with how your source of being thinks, your feelings emanate as God-realized experiences within your body. The utmost feeling that defines God and your own highest self is the feeling of love. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. Because your feelings, especially the feeling of love, are impressed on your subconscious mind, which is responsible for virtually everything that you do, experience, and manifest in your life, your mission is to get to that place of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even if the wish has yet to materialize in your physical reality. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled involves this fundamental awareness of how the subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind is not personal. It's an expression of the one universal subconscious mind that we all use. This is a gnarly concept because your ego, where you spend the vast majority of your time, is so personal that you cannot grasp that we all share the same, the only subconscious mind. As Neville states, quote, "The subconscious is not selective. It is impersonal and no respecter of persons," unquote. You want to keep tabs on what feelings you are associating with the wishes you have placed in your imagination, because whatever they are, you will see the universe aligning with them to provide experiences that match up with what you have impressed upon this universal subconscious mind. Think thoughts like, I am well, I am strong, I am prosperous, and I am employed. Place them into your imagination, and then assume the feeling of that wish fulfilled. If you can experience the feeling of love and joy and exhilaration, peace and happiness in your body, even when your sensations are contradictory, your subconscious records the feelings. Neville is very clear about this. He says, quote, "To impress the subconscious with the desirable state, you must assume the feeling that would be yours had you already realized your wish," unquote. Feeling any state you wish to achieve is the experience that impresses it on the subconscious. Once again, turning to Neville, he tells us, quote, "The subconscious is the womb of creation. It receives the idea unto itself through the feelings of man. It never changes the idea received, but always gives it form," unquote. Always gives it form, meaning that you must begin programming your subconscious mind, which will take over much like mine did when I laced up those ice skates without any prodding from my thinking or conscious mind, in spite of a 40-year interval. The subconscious mind accepts as true what you feel is true. Your feelings determine your reality because they're impressed on the subconscious. Consciously feeling hopeless and entertaining the idea in your imagination with even more imaginative feelings of hopelessness will impress on the subconscious mind the idea of failure. Consequently, you will be offered experiences by the one universal subconscious mind that will match what you felt is true. Remember, the subconscious mind is impersonal and non-selective. It cannot make a distinction between what you feel as a result of your daily life experiences and what you feel as a result of what you have placed into your imagination as a future desire. If you put the seed of failure into the subconscious and feed it with feeling that way, it will reproduce failure. If you plant the seed of disease into your subconscious mind by feeling this way in your body, it will augment disease for you.
If you plant the seed of misery into your subconscious mind by feeling miserable, it will cultivate and produce misery for you. This is why it is so all-out crucial to begin feeling in your body what you would like to manifest into your life. You can get to the point where the magnetic-like power in your own field of energy is so joyfully loving that you can have a mere flash of imagining and feeling something powerful and good, and with almost no passage of three-dimensional time, it will appear in your life. Whatever you wish to manifest, associate a feeling with it, and impress that feeling on the universal subconscious mind, and it will do the rest.
My question relates to when you're dealing about the concept of synchronicity and getting out ahead of it and being open and intuitiveness. How does something as mundane as planning fit into that concept?
Right. No, that's an excellent notion. It's part of the duality that I was speaking about when I quoted Jung and about you're doomed to make choices. And I think it was Spinoza once said that life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. And I remember Marianne Williamson once saying that God's plan works. Yours doesn't. And all you have to do is get in sort of collaboration with God's plan, so that you do your planning and you set your goals and you do the things that are all seem important to you. But the key word is detachment. That's what I talked about in one of the earlier principles. It's always detachment, that you are not attached to the outcome. And remind yourself that if in your attachment to what it is that you think you would like to do doesn't materialize, it doesn't work out, you just you accept it and you move on and remind yourself that God's plan is working. You know. Yes.
Sort of piggybacking onto that, how do you make a decision about things like lawsuits? If you're faced with an issue and a lawsuit is a possibility, how do you decide if it's something you just move beyond or pursue?
You let go. You let go of the outcome. And if you insist on staying in it because there's a question of what you believe to be right versus what somebody else believes to be right, you work very hard at detaching yourself from all of the details and all of the information. In other words, you hire a very competent person who incarnated here to do those kinds of things, a lawyer, whatever. And you tell them that I don't want to hear any information that will weaken me, that will make me unhappy, that will bring me anger, that will bring me fear or whatever. You just keep all of that from me. Your job is to deal with this and to go after what it is that you believe to fulfill whatever it is, wishes you have. But you detach yourself from all of that. You go through your days being in a state of peace. And you tell him when he calls you, you only give me information that will strengthen me. I don't want anything that will weaken me. And you can do that. It's really quite simple. Yeah, there always will be some kinds of conflicts that will arise that you won't have agreement with someone else. But that's no cause for being depressed, miserable, unhappy, fearful, anxious, stressful. You just don't have to go there in your life. And I have lots of practice at that in my life. And I get better at it as I remind myself that I don't have to be attached to any of that. And when I have had some disputes that involved legal issues, I have told my attorney just exactly what I'm telling you now. I do not want you to call me with details that are going to be upsetting, whatever it is, even if it's going to cost me money. Write the check and keep me out of it. You go through your life and you don't have to have all of that. Any other thoughts or ideas? Yes.
Based on what you were saying yesterday, does that mean you try to love the person you're suing at the same time?
That's absolutely crucial. Truly it is. It's surrounding them with love. And most of the time, when you're able to do that, when you're able to surround them with love, you can make it go away. You'd be surprised how often. Well, you remember the story of Ruth Carrico that I read, while she was, what could be more hateful than that? And she was practicing loving someone that was trying to kill her. And it's the lesson of our greatest spiritual teachers. If we want to call ourselves people who are devotees of the greatest spiritual teachers who ever walked among us, we have to practice what it is that their lives were and what they were teaching us. There's a part of us that wants to be right, that wants to make everybody else wrong, that wants to judge others, that wants to believe that I am superior to others on the basis of how much stuff I have, or how much education I have, or what religion I happen to practice, or where I happen to live, on which side of the boundaries. That part of us is not treasuring our divinity. That is the ego. And while I don't think that it's very possible for most of us to ever completely get rid of this ego, as long as we're incarnated into a human form, I do believe that it is possible for us to tame it and to make it less of a dominant force in our lives by no longer having such an important role placed on being right and making other people wrong.